We come in the end of the lane to come up here to milk the cows. There was 3 guns on the other side of the road, just sort of a bank down. They were lying there.
I was only about 2 to 3 metres away from the bomb. It was the other side of the road. Everything was just blank, and the car in front of me was on fire and the car behind me was on fire.
This is only 200 yards from where the shots were fired to the people who would have been on the road here. And as I said, this is an everyday occurrence during our worst days of the Troubles, which we don't want to go back to. We certainly do not want to go back to.
Comes that border, hard border, especially a hard border, it may give incentive for the hardliners to start up violence again, to try and bring about that United Ireland.
We're marginalising ourselves, isolating ourselves by doing this, and that's all part of Brexit.
In the late 20th century, Northern Ireland was one of the most contentious and violent regions in the world, and many of the nearly 2 million current residents worry Brexit could lead the region down a dark but all too familiar road.
I have a son and daughter, and I have grandchildren, and I certainly don't want to see anything that's going to create a threat to their well-being or their livelihoods or, their lives, which has been the case in the past. And I'm not saying the border is going to cause that, but it could cause ripples. The ripples could lead to a tsunami.
Created in 1921, this region, slightly larger than Connecticut, and its then 1.25 million residents, were to be British citizens subject to United Kingdom governance. About 60% of the inhabitants were Unionists, those loyal to Britain, most of whom were Protestant. The remaining minority were Catholic nationalists, favoring a unified Ireland free of British rule or influence. Starting in the late 60s, long-simmering hostility boiled over into open, persistent violence, thus beginning the Troubles, as the conflict would come to be known.
Extreme Protestants, so-called loyalists, and the terrorist gang, the supporters of the IRA, Sinn Féin, those two are always going to be extremes. I mean, Ireland is noted for north and south, for troubles. It dies down and starts up again, and dies down again, starts up again. I mean, that's going on from as long as I was a child.
The UK responded to escalating violence militarily, stationing troops across Northern Ireland and installing watchtowers along the physical or hard border. For 30 years the conflict raged, claiming more than 3,700 lives and more than 47,000 injuries. The Good Friday Agreement of 1998 finally put an end to the open hostilities, creating, more or less, the interconnected Northern Ireland we have today, or at least the Northern Ireland we had before the impending Brexit.
When we were in the European market, it gave us a sense of identity, a common identity, that you didn't have to be a nationalist, you didn't have to be a unionist, you didn't have to be British, you didn't have to be Irish, you could be European, which was a get out of jail card for everybody. Nobody was pigeonholed or put on a box. We're marginalising ourselves, isolating ourselves by doing this, and that's all part of Brexit.
Everybody north and south are fed up with the Troubles, and what it's brought, and to think that we're just coming out of it and getting over it, that something again would happen, it's not conceivable.
Yeah, Pip. Come on. The people who had to live through the Troubles, they're the people who best, in my opinion, understand the ridiculousness and fallacy of saying this is north, this is south. You take the whole 300 miles of the border and take maybe 10 or 15 miles on each side of it. A lot of people along that, both north and south, they're married, the communities are completely interconnected. And to divide those communities again would be an absolute atrocity after making so much progress.
Here we have the children's swings, which are six yards from the so-called border. This is the border. We are now standing in Derry, or Londonderry, and over the hedge is Donegal, which is in the south of Ireland. This is supposed to be the north of Ireland. So what's the difference to, you know? There's no real difference.
15 miles of border that there's absolutely no fence, no anything on whatsoever. The border's invisible now, and that's the way we intend to keep it, and we don't intend to start rebuilding a border or having a border again. I cannot see it. I just can't envisage it. I think that we have moved on. I certainly hope we have moved on. The very thought of dividing it now and putting in some sort of a hard border or some sort of a structure along it just borders on the ridiculous, really. Yeah. Sorry, I didn't actually mean to use the pun.
Hey, NBC News viewers, thanks for checking out our YouTube channel. Subscribe by clicking on that button down here and click on any of the videos over here to watch the latest interviews, show highlights, and digital exclusives. Thanks for watching.